Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Switcheroo seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which after both players take their turn, we will switch hands. And today we're playing a deck that you guys had recommended that is a powerful one that we surprisingly have not yet played in this event, so let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Scoia'Tael Guerilla Tactics deck that focuses on playing a small number of very powerful cards that give much more value to us than they do to our opponents, and then fill the rest of the deck with bronze units that are not going to be a game changer either way. So, with that in mind, the idea is round one to play Saskia Commander, probably in the melee row, and because we have 10 or more primary categories in our starting deck, that means that we are going to, every 3 turns, summon out a new bronze unit from our deck. And so that means, over the course of an entire round, this is going to give us a ton of additional value, and some of those bronze cards are even engines, so that is going to add up quite a bit. So that is our key win condition for round one. And if we don't happen to get Saskia, then we can go for a Shupe Stay Off, which, because we don't have any duplicates in our deck, means we can get a Shupe of some variety. Mage is the highest risk, highest return, but Shupe Hunter, sort of middle of the road, you could potentially destroy an enemy unit, but more often than not, you're looking for Shupe Knight, which is generally the most simple, straightforward, either giving you a bunch of points, locking a unit, damaging a unit that you're, is there one for damage actually? No, boosting an allied unit, but more often than not, the absolute preferred choice would be Shupe Knight for the resilience, because 8 points, not bad, and 8 points of resilience, very, very nice. So that is another option, ideally for round one, and a card that even, if you're feeling bold, you could deliberately not play on turn one, because it's a pretty decent chance your opponent's deck does have some duplicates in it, so that means this card is worth precisely 0 points for them, so they may be hesitant to play it, in which case you can play whatever your engines are early on and play Shupe Stay Off near the end of the round now. On some occasions, your opponent may choose to play Shupe Stay Off, even if they do have duplicates in their deck, because it may be a 0-point turn, but hey, they might be really concerned about denying you the ability to get an 8-point resilience Shupe Knight, so you'll see that on occasion. But matter of personal preference, if you want to play it safe and use Shupe Stay Off as soon as you get it, or play it late in the round and give yourself the chance to min-max the amount of time you have to generate points from your other engines. That's another card you can potentially play in round one to help set up a win condition, and in some ways it's sort of setting up your win condition for round two with all that carryover. Then there's Radeya, the other card that we can benefit from if we have no duplicates in our deck, and again, we don't have duplicates in our deck, so that means we'll either get a stratagem based on our faction, Scoia'Tael, which would give us about 5 points, or more likely, range row, neutral stratagem. What we would love would be, yes, there are some options that will give you 5 points there or 4 points in Veil, but Cursed Scroll, which is our starting stratagem, is really nice because this is another way to guarantee that you can get, well, the other card that we are kind of, ideally, saving for round 2/3, because assuming you get Saskia in round one, and that's actually what you would use Cursed Scroll to get in round one. If you did not get Saskia, make sure you get her as quickly as possible in round one, because she will give us a bunch of thinning in addition to all that other value, which means you have a much, much higher chance of drawing into Renfri in round 2 or round 3. Now, I'm sure you guys are quite familiar with Renfri at this point. She has been making waves in the Gwent meta nowadays, where if we have at least 25 units in our starting deck, and we do, then we will replace our starting leader ability with a new one with 2 aspects to it. Both a curse, which is the active component that triggers when we use our leader ability, and a blessing, which is a passive component, which in some cases will give us points of some variety before we use our leader ability. Sometimes it gives us points when we use our leader ability. Sometimes it gives us points at the end of the round. All depends on what you choose, and the options, the preferred option varies depending on the situation, generally speaking, we're looking to play Renfri as our win condition in round 2/3, which means you're probably looking for something that is very high pace, so not a cooldown, probably not a when you pass, get boosted by 5. That's not a terrible option, but more likely something like split 8 damage randomly whenever you use your leader ability, because it's going to be a big burst you play near the, or in a very short round 2, something like that. Or set your lowest powered unit to a 12, assuming that you have a low powered unit. And then on the curse side of things, also looking for something big and bursty here, like maybe destroying an enemy unit with 10 or less power. If they have enough units, then maybe Curse of Wrath here, getting the 7 points of damage and damaging adjacent units with the excess damage as well, but that's usually requires a little bit of a longer round. And not something like Curse of Sloth, which in a long round is great, but chances are by the time you're playing Renfri, you don't have any bronze units remaining in your hand, so that's probably not going to work here. So those are the options to consider for Renfri. And those are the big cards we would like to really focus on. Again, win conditions for round 1. Saskia is the big one, and Radeya / Curse Scroll can help you get her more easily. And then Shupe Stay Off is kind of a win condition for round 1, but in perhaps more ways is a way to get carryover, which turns into a win condition for round 2. And then win condition for round 2/3, if you don't have Shupe Stay Off, is Renfri. Then everything else is basically a Scoia'Tael bronze unit of some variety, some of which are more valuable than others. Sorceress of Dol Blathanna is great. The Antherion, also great to play early as well. We do have some movement with our leader ability and with things like Dol Blathanna Sentry and with Cat Witcher. So those are some of the cards that if you're trying to choose between the various bronze units to play, prioritize those. Generally speaking, we do not have any bronze special cards in our starting deck. So, I mean, there's a chance your opponent will have some when you receive their hand, but that means Elven Seer probably not going to be as high priority as it might be in a deck that is more built around Scoia'Tael special cards. And obviously we have Renfri, so we can't really put those special cards in our deck. We have we have a lot of course, distinct categories of Scoia'Tael units, so Harmony is not a terrible option, to be honest, although Saskia does kind of have an anti-Harmony synergy because she'll summon in a bunch of new categories, which will make it harder to trigger that Harmony. Again, not much of anything in the way of special cards here, so unless you have a lot of special cards in your opponent's hand, Sorceress, or rather Whisper Dol Blathanna, probably not a high priority. And Dwarven Mercenary at the very end of the round is just pure 7 points, which is quite nice. Mahakam Defender with leader ability to move it and give it a little bit of a boost can turn into a decent engine, or if you have another source of boost, could be nice as well. Pyrotechnician, not bad. Dryad Matron is the other nice movement engine we have. Works well with the Cat Witchers, with the Dol Blathanna Sentry and whatnot. Berserker, also decent for damage. Abandoned Girl, not great. Chameleon, if you happen to be focusing on the Harmony, is a good way to trigger that Harmony as many times as possible. And Oakcritters is here because it's a treant and not really any reason else, because it's otherwise pretty terrible. So that is the name of the game for the deck. It is really all about those big cards. The Renfri, Saskia Commander, Shupe Stay Off, Radeya, and everything else is pretty much just there to either reach the conditions for those big cards, or so that it can get summoned out from Saskia Commander. With all that being said, let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Syndicate here, and we'll go first. Okay, so what we're looking for here is to play Saskia Commander as our win condition for round 1, so we already have her in hand, although what we really perhaps prefer to do would be to get her through Oniromancy, and that way we can get the echoed copy of Oniro in round 2 and use that to get Renfri, or Shupe Stay Off, or Radeya. So, I mean, I suppose we can just play Saskia Commander first turn from hand and then use our stratagem Curse Scroll to give us Oniro, and then use Oniro to get probably Radeya, but maybe Shupe Stay Off, maybe, probably not Renfri in that case. That's definitely going to be what we go with in round 2 anyway, but regardless, let's go Saskia Commander, and let's go, I was going to say range row, but that would specifically be because we want to try to get this Dol Blathanna Sentry in the range row, and we have it in hand, so it's perhaps not so important which row we put it in that case, so, I mean, take your pick. Melee it is, and we get the Hamadryad first. Now, we don't really have anything in the way of nature cards, because, of course, we need to have a bunch of units in order to have Renfri work. But let's see, they get some carryover with that Phoenix, which could be a bit of an issue. Let's see, oh, well. They gave us a hand that had both Roach and Knickers in it, and we can use Curse Scroll to put one of these back into our deck. We should totally do that. And then it'll come out from our deck and give us the 4 or 3 points of value. And then, what were we saying we'd prefer to get? Probably... Oh, did I say we don't have Oniro? No, we definitely won't do that. Probably Radeya. And go neutral stratagem. Or we could go Shupe Stay Off and maybe try to get some carryover that way. Yeah, let's go that route, I suppose. So do this. You put you back because you'll come out immediately. Use Shupe Stay Off. We're trying to get the resilience on Shupe Knight. We did not get it, unfortunately. So I guess we'll just boost an allied unit. I'd like to have this in the range row, because this melee row is going to get pretty crowded, but okay, if you insist. Okay, so they... Alright, that's... It's like, they have a Harmony... No, that's our starting deck they're playing from. Yeah, so we should know that. So, what we'd like... be to try to get some movement support, if we can get it. Probably, with a range row Dol Blathanna Sentry. Either that, or Half-Elf Hunter for Harmony that potentially gives us a little bit of long-term value, as could Dwarf Berserker. Those are all the highest demand cards. Potentially, Mahakam Defender, if we use Leader Ability Charge to move it and get it boosted, could be kind of nice. We'd also like to try to repeat some of the same types of units we have here to maximize the amount of value we're getting from Saskia. So we already have a Dryad, we have a Beast. Yeah, we're not going to play a Dryad or a Beast. That's pretty much unavoidable. All right, we'll go with the Dol Blathanna Sentry. We actually know we're not going to get the Dryad Matron, but okay, we did get some movement from Cat Witcher, so that is really nice. So this is why we wanted to prioritize getting Dol Blathanna Sentry range row. So technically speaking, this is a fundamental flaw of their deck. If you're going to play Syndicate, and I've said this before in our previous matches and videos for Syndicate decks, the whole premise of playing Syndicate in this event is that you do not include spend. Oh well, I guess they're not going Pirates Cove. So okay, I take it back. They do need a spender of some variety, but I mean, we still have access to spenders in that case. Or have any left? Not really. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, we'd like to get rid of their spender if we can, and so can do some damage to it with the Ransackers, which might be the way to go. And though we don't yet have a human, that is something Saskia could give to us. Then again, I think our only human is in our hand right now, if I remember correctly. So maybe we settle for just going for the damage here. And the Cat Witcher, well, tell you what, don't need to rely on the Cat Witcher to get the job done. We can do it that way. No spender for you. And they will not have any way to spend regardless. So now we've completely shut down what would normally be the key strength of Syndicate. And let's see, do we have anything else? So yeah, I deliberately was fine playing a human because Abandoned Girl would have been the human that we might have summoned out from our deck, but because I remembered she was in her hand, that wasn't going to happen. So it's not like we're limiting the total amount of things Saskia can summon out here. So what is still valuable? It's probably too late to go Harmony, although this is still a 6-point slam, which might still be better than everything else. If we get you boosted, you're valuable, but I'm not sure we can make that happen at this point. We don't have any special cards, really, for you. Technically, we could do this and turn you into a Dryad, then you're worth 5 points. That's still not great. I think Half-Elf Hunter is technically the most valuable play here, unless we invest further in Mahakam Defender, but easiest way to do that would be to use Leader Ability Charge, and we could go that route. I'd rather not go that route if we don't have to. It doesn't feel like we do, so I'd like to avoid that. Okay. Oh, then again, I'm not sure Commander's Horn, if we're going to see this in the future. But that is potentially a way to boost up that that dwarf that we were considering playing. So yeah, I mean, guess we'll go Witch Hunter because it is, or technically this is the most valuable right now. Yeah, we'll settle for just going this route. We'll abandon any hope of going with the Mahakam Defender. Actually, we not yet played a dwarf, so we got a Pyrotechnician out from our deck through Saskia. That's a good one. Still get the full value out of this order ability, which is quite nice. So yeah, I mean, we could still go leader ability to set up the get him boosted, but not really sure we need to do that. We have a pretty sizable lead here, round 1, so we, I think, might as well just save these charges for round 2. So at this point, this is 5 points if we play it in the melee row. Again, we basically got rid of the setup for this because I assumed that they were gonna play the big boosty card, the Commander's Horn, if we did not immediately use it. So, do we have any other way of getting boosts here? Not really, because you're not going to move, again, not unless we use that leader ability. So, I think it is you. It's either that or it's play Torque, which is also 5 points. Which technically we don't need to play in the melee row, which is still going to get a little bit crowded. So, you know what? Sure, we'll go Torque. And we do have Harmony. Yeah, that is true, so that is going to give us a point. Is there any reason to save this? Eh. Why not? Okay, Witch Hunter was, I think, the perhaps only card remaining that we were going to get any value out of. That's a net 0-point play. They lose 1 point on the Chameleon, which is now a dragon, and they gain 1 point on Harmony, so eh. Okay, no, we do still have Knickers, so we can get 3 points out of this because we don't have any spenders. These are useless to us. So let's just throw you out here. I mean, then again, our last turn we will likely have this line of credit, which we'll likely just discard altogether rather than play and have to destroy one of our cards. We're looking like we're going to have a 60, or rather a 40-ish point, maybe 50-ish point buffer, so definitely shouldn't be an issue. Okay, Abandoned Girl, that was going to be our preferable card to play next. But at this point, we have a dwarf, we have an elf, so both of these are just worth 4 points and not really anything else, so does not matter much what we play here. It's just a 4-point body. But we still get our Dwarven Chariot out. Line of credit, I'm surprised they used it. I mean, it does give them a lot of coins, but it does get them the boat out, sure. Not that that makes a huge difference. Just thought they'd try to force us into destroying one of our cards. Again, not that it would make a very big difference, because even with a 0-point play here, we are still in a comfortable lead. Technically, I forgot to give armor, but I think we'll be fine, guys. I think we'll be okay. Don't worry about it. And we got 6 coins, which may actually be somewhat relevant because we know they do have some spenders in their deck, so even if we get past one of those, we can still make some use out of it in round 2. Okay, so we drew into one of our big cards for Radeya, and 2 of our bad cards with the Guardian and Oakcritters, so could swap you out, but what I'd like to do is probably go range row, see if we can get the Cursed Scroll and use that to get Renfri when we get past their hand. Could potentially try to swap this out, because this is still 6 points, which is something, but we want to try to give them a bunch of bad cards and just have one good card for us, and we'll swap out one of our bad cards into a good card using Cursed Scroll if we can get it from Radeya in the range row. So I think we just stick with this and, you know, don't risk accidentally giving them the option. Like, if we happen to draw directly into Renfri, then sure, we'd pretty much have to play Renfri immediately, and we're passing them a Radeya in that case. They may or may not have duplicate cards, but even if they do have duplicate cards and they don't get the deployability, it's still an 8-point body, so we'd like to avoid handing that to them. So let's go range row. Looking for Cursed Scroll here. We did not get it, unfortunately. We do still have the option of getting 5 points from the Lamp Chin is probably preferable. I don't think we're going to need Veil on anything, and that's 1 less point, so let's go that route. So they will get the carryover from the Phoenix, which is going to be 4 points. So that is something. Saul did not use that leader ability yet, but once they do, he's, yeah, he is powerful. They did give us a spender. They did give us a spender, so we can technically use this, and this is, again, the dangerous thing with Syndicate. So we will, because this is worth more. The profit, we're up to 5 coins. Now we're not really going to have much ability to benefit from 5 rounds of bleed here. We could bleed you and bleed you for 2 points. Actually do it twice and still benefit from that. But is there reason to think, we actually prefer to wait for round 3 at this point because this Saul play was pretty decent? I mean, I don't think we can't say with confidence that we'll get another spender. So I think we have the coins now, we might as well use the coins now. Yeah, and not surprisingly, they picked what was the better card. That's understandable. Yeah, also this had Veil, so we weren't even going to be able to cause bleed on it anyway. And that means we're definitely not playing you in the melee row. So we'll go range row here, and that's why we wanted to ideally get the Curse Scroll here so we could swap out either this guy, which actually turned out to be a decent card, or in this case would have preferred to have gotten rid of the Oakcritters and replaced that with a Renfri. So we'll flip the Djinn. Gives us a 6-point lead. They're getting 4 from this and 2 from that. That's 6 points right there. Minus 2 from that. They're getting 4 points before they even play anything. Their last card is a 4-point body. So that means they have 8 points total plus the 3 points on this. They have 11 points total. This gives us 6 more points, which puts us at, or rather at 4 more points, puts us at 25, which is enough. If my math is correct, though admittedly, I did have to rush that math and jumbled the numbers there for a second. Did I get it right? Do we have enough here? Because we actually might. Might not even need to go to round 3 and worry about getting Renfri. Oh, man. Darn it. My math was wrong. Okay, 1 point. They hold on. Okay, and so although we did not have, we don't have an Oniro in this deck, so we weren't able to tutor out Renfri because we did all that thinning in round 1. We have very few cards remaining in our deck, so we were pretty likely to see Renfri here, and that's what we get. So we just want to make sure that the other cards are quite weak, and we don't have much great remaining. I mean, we'd rather not pass them at 7 power Dwarven Mercenary, but if we could throw out like a Cat Witcher and force them into playing something like that, that'd be kind of nice. This is probably just going to be 3 points. This is potentially worth 6. This is fine, because the hand boosting will affect us. So it's actually more like a 4 points, or potentially 4 points and -1 unit here. So functionally a 3. That's not bad. Obviously, we're playing Renfri first, because we don't want to give that to them. And so with her, let's see what we get. Damage enemy unit by 7. That is enough to remove your armor, but not quite destroy you. Now, if we get the blessing at the end of this that gives us damage as well, that might work. Damage all enemy units by... This is not going to be good in a short round. Destroy an enemy unit with 10 or less power. That's not bad. That could be a way to just outright remove Dire Mutated Hound, which I imagine is going to be their strongest card by a significant margin in this round. So I'm thinking we go that route rather than this route. And then play lowest provision cost unit from our deck. If that happens to be a Dwarven Mercenary, that would be really nice. Randomly split 8 damage. I think I like that a lot, though. I think we're going this route. So we could use this now, but we know it's not going to get... It's going to be an 8 at the end of their next turn. So it's still usable then. And we don't want to... We ideally don't use it now, because then we get the full value out of the upfront destroying a 10 power or less unit, but the 8 damage split across different units were losing would have lost all value on that because they just didn't have anything else on the board. So now, like, this is what I was referring to before. You just don't want... Just don't give us spenders. I mean, we did use all our coins in round 2. But we can deny them spenders, which right now their only way to spend would be putting armor on this Dire Mutated Hound, which just doesn't matter. So we would like a whole lot to deny him the opportunity to turn the coins directly into points. And not to mention, this is a 4-point body for us, so it's actually worth something, whereas this is not worth anything to us directly. So it's looking pretty good here. Their last play is functionally worth 0 points to them unless it gets them up high enough to get a boat. It might. It might get them up high enough. With leader ability, it will, for sure. Okay. So this will be a 10, but we can still destroy that with our leader ability, so that's fine. We throw you down. Sure, we'll put you melee row. Doesn't matter anymore. We destroy you and split the damage across everyone else, and that is more than enough to finish the job. Okay, so going up against Scoia'Tael here, and they'll go first. Okay, so as of right now, none of our key cards in hand. So let's try to swap things around a little bit here. And maybe, if they're Call of Harmony, presumably they're trying to do some Harmony stuff, so maybe we play Antherion first. And perhaps deny them the Cat Witcher. Rather not pass them a strong card like that. Relatively strong card, at least. And maybe we dump this Harmony as well. Okay, Shupe stay off. That's very nice. Now, of course, we don't really know definitively as to whether they have duplicate cards in their deck. If they don't, or rather, if they do have duplicate cards, then Shupe stay off is worth 0 for them. So we could go with our initial plan of playing Antherion turn 1, because it is worth the most points long term, and either assume that they will not play this because it gives them 0 points, or if they do choose to play it, they're basically sacrificing a turn in order to deny us the opportunity to potentially get something like carryover. Maybe we take our chances there. I think we take that risk. I think we gamble a little bit on that. Just a little bit. So I think they really want something like Antherion that probably synergizes quite well with what they're trying to... Okay, well, we now know definitively they cannot get anything out of Shupe stay off. They might still play it so that we cannot use it. That's possible. No, they'll go Dryad Matron instead, and they actually already have Dryads. So it's a little bit odd. We know they had ways to trigger that Harmony, but they chose not to. And now that is the question we're going to have here. This is basically going to turn to a Harmony showdown. Not technically a mirror match, but close to it. So do we get additional Harmony on the board? Or do we get a powerful engine like... I think Pavko is worth more because he's 2 points per turn. He triggers the Harmony here. Still valuable, in that way we can turn him into a Harmony card using Antherion. It's either that or Cat Witcher, which is basically a slightly worse Pavko, unless you have the movement synergy with Dryad Matron, which is okay. There's something to be said for denying them that combo, which is probably what they're looking for on their next turn, but I think we take that chance. Play Pavko, turn him into a Harmony engine, as well as a damage-dealing engine, because we should have exclusively... technically, we're not going to have exclusively Scoia'Tael units. Start of this turn we will, but we are likely to play Shupe stay off on our next turn. Why are they going Chameleon next? I mean, yes, it is extremely valuable at the end of the round, for sure. So I guess they're just being extra careful, trying to make sure that they guarantee they get... Oh, it turned into an elf, though. That's why they didn't get the Harmony proc there. That is not a unit type you wanted to see. But on this occasion, I think given how they have the movement, denying them the Dol Blathanna Sentry could be really nice. In fact, even playing... Ooh, wait a second. What happened to the... Oh, the Cat Witcher's in their hand? This was our starting hand. Do we go melee row to deal damage to this Dryad Matron, or do we go range row to support our potential Cat Witcher? I think we do this. Taking a chance here, once again, assuming that they will not yet use... let's hit you, though. Taking a chance that they will not yet use Shupe stay off. It seems like, I mean, at least initially, they didn't want to. But yeah, here's the Cat Witcher, so that's now our next play we'd like to use. They do have some poison. Not enough to remove anything, though, so that shouldn't really be a factor. Technically speaking, they could, if we did get a Resilience Shupe, they could put poison on it in round 1, and that poison carries over into round 2, and therefore they get a second round of poison in round 2. They could still remove Shupe. Going for the Chameleon vulnerability early, I would think you want to wait to do that until you have more Harmony on the board, because you only have 2 Harmony cards, which is not that much. So the reason why I prioritized getting Pavko down early was so that we could do that and remove that engine altogether. And then we have the Dol Blathanna Sentry, which means we have a way to boost up this Cat Witcher, which will also boost 2 Harmony engines. So yeah, we could have loaded up on Harmony a little bit more earlier on, but did a little bit of a mixture of those 2 things. I think ultimately was beneficial. Okay, that's another... Okay. 2 Chameleons is a whole lot. That's probably going to be enough for them to win round 1. Assuming they get more of the Harmony cards on the board, these are going to be huge for them. Unless we can take one of them out. And it's not surprising that we see them putting the armor on this now. If they use the order ability to replay, they're going to lose that, but can we get rid of you? 2 points of damage here. Unlikely, but theoretically possible. 2 points of damage there. If we use leader ability, we could guarantee it. That might be worth doing. That might be worth doing, and then maybe Dwarf Berserker was the other play. Again, we're tempting fate here, waiting as long as possible before playing Shupe Stay Off, because it probably is not going to be an engine. So we'd rather play cards that generate value over time first. So let's do this. That Chameleon was going to give them a lot of value if we allowed that to stay on the board. Did get the random damage hitting you. Okay, they'll play Torque, which is a relic, which is good card category to get for Harmony purposes. That Chameleon is very destroyable. Even with that armor. Because what we can do is we can go Pavko for 2 damage, drop you down to a 1, and then go Trained Hawk, which will, in the melee row, give us 2 damage, which is actually overkill to remove you. Or, similarly, Dryad Ranger is also 2 points of damage. Getting rid of this poison would be nice. We already have a beast, so this doesn't proc Harmony. We do not have a Dryad, so this does, so this is actually worth more to us. We don't want to have them poison what could end up being a Resilience Shupe, as I was saying previously. So this is a good way to go here. Please destroy this. So yeah, the poison ultimately wasn't really a factor, as much as the damage was, but we denied them the chance of doing poison to us. Okay, Train Talk, more Harmony. It's a little bit late in the round. Do they have a beast already? They did not. Oh, when they moved Pavko, that was smart. They should have done that earlier. I mean, technically, we can move him back with our leader ability if we really want to, which we may want to do. This also may be the Shupe turn. This may be the Shupe turn. So, do we have anything that we really want to hit here? I mean, you're giving armor, which is kind of relevant, because that might slow down the Cat Witcher to a certain extent. We might be able to get rid of you, and you are an engine, so I suppose we prioritize going that route. Again, you do have armor, which is unfortunate, but could go for you if we're getting really risky. I mean, it seems like they just don't want to play Shupe because they know it's worth nothing for them. We do already have a Dryad, so it's not going to trigger Harmony, but we already have a Dwarf, so that's not going to trigger Harmony. You're going to take some damage. I guess we'll do it. You're going to take some damage because we have some non-dwarves here. So this gives us another way to deal damage to Trained Hawk. Between you and you, we should be able to destroy this on our next turn. They do play it. They don't have anything to set it up, so it is a 0-point play. We tempted fate, so eventually they went for it, and now it means that we are still in the lead and have a card to spare on them. So it's looking good for round 1 there. That's basically what they did. By going that route, they more or less sacrificed round 1 in the name of denying us the potential for resilience. So Again, you can debate, is it worth going that route? I mean, ideally, of course, we probably would have played it on our next turn. So we just wanted to try to get as many engines on the board as possible, as quickly as possible, and that was not going to be one of them. So that was ideally going to be our last turn play. Speaking of engines and triggering those engines, let's get rid of theirs with the train talk, and then let's do Dwarven Chariot because... Which row do we want? Might go melee, to be honest. The boost. So we do not yet have a machine. So that'll boost our Harmony cards, and we have, I believe, 3 of them now. 1, 2, and the Infusion on Povko. So yeah, 20-point lead here. They can still go with their leader ability to get Denna out here, which is something, especially with that additional Harmony engine there. We have reason to believe... Now we're going to absolutely have 2 points of damage from Povko for the rest of the round. That's the other reason why we delayed the Shupe as long as we did, because the earlier we played it, the earlier we were lowering Povko's damage from 2 down to 1. So 2 damage here drops you down to a 4. Don't know if Cat Witcher's going to hit you, but that would drop you down to a 2. Leader ability would get rid of you. That feels like that's still overkill. So I think, I mean, the right play is Dwarven Mercenary. It'll damage itself by 1, but that's still worth 6 points versus 4 here. We have a Dwarf. We have an Elf. So neither one is proccing Harmony. That's a non-factor. So I think we just do this, and we'll just... We're just hitting a 2. Really, anything at all. Rather than trying to remove you, I think that's not really something we can rely on. But yeah, it looks like we likely have one round 1. I'm curious to see if they take their chances on leader ability. I don't think it would be enough for them to catch us, so they don't bother. It is a pretty decent point slam, even in a short round. Obviously, Denna is an engine and does likely proc Harmony. Oh, they already have a Relic on the board because they played Torque, so that's one reason not to play her here. She would not proc Harmony in this case. But, yeah, okay. Go this route. It's more than enough. So that will win us round 1, even without any of our big cards. I mean, yes, we technically could have played Troops Day Off, but didn't need it in this case. Okay, so just bronze cards here. We did not get Saskia, which means we did not get any thinning, so we are likely to still see more of our bronze units here. Thinking we get rid of you, and if it is just bronze cards, then we'll use Dol Blathanna's, Sorceress of Dol Blathanna, turn 1. I mean, Cat Witcher is potentially worth a little bit more, but problem is we play this before they have any units on the board, and they can dodge him pretty effectively. I mean, they'll dodge him for 1 turn, and then next turn he'll hit whatever unit they play. So he's functionally a 6 for us, and I still think it is likely that the Sorceress is going to be worth more than that. So I think we do go that route. Percival. Oh, okay. I mean, great Harmony engine. But it's looking like this might just be a throwaway for this round. Tell you what we do here. We go Pyrotechnician this row. And if they play the Cat Witcher, it's going to hit one of these 2, and we just hope that it basically hits Pyrotechnician and it tanks it with the armor, and then its order ability is going to destroy it, but, you know, so be it. Sorceress. Well, now we can give Tempering to that Pyrotechnician, which is 5 points and 2 armor, which means we definitely would be fine taking the damage from the Cat Witcher, but we don't know if the Cat Witcher is going to hit you or not. It's 50-50 chance. Percival is in a row by himself, so that'd be 4 damage, but you have 2 armor, so it's functionally 2. You have... This normally is worth slightly more than Tempering, but again, because Percival has armor, it's not really the case. So I think it does still make the most sense to go this route. Now, leader ability plus making a bomb could have destroyed Percival, but I think, yeah, this is actually what we want to see here, is force them into playing leader ability. Just get them to commit big time. We have 1 leader ability charge. We'll save that for round 3. Unfortunately, Cat Witcher did hit Sorceress, which did not have armor. So that was not ideal, but we can do this. We'd like for it to hit Cat Witcher, ideally. Technically, I should play this in the range row because we don't care about the hand boosting. There's nothing to hand boost, and we just gave them something to potentially hit with the Cat Witcher. Hopefully that's not, well, it is not going to matter anyway because they're going to outscore us no matter what. But yeah, what we did was we forced them to play their leader ability, and that's a good thing because this was worth decent value. So to see them have to use that round 2 is very nice for us. Round 3. Okay, and we drew into Radeya, and that could be very important because we play her range row. We could potentially get Cursed Scroll, which allows us to swap a card from our hand with a card in our deck, which means we could get a Renfri that way. Now, it's not guaranteed that we get Cursed Scroll. If we don't, we can likely get a card that either gives us a 5-point body, 4 or 5-point boost. So Radeya, I think, is quite good for us. And then neither of these are all that helpful for our opponent. They likely don't have a way to boost Mahakam Defender. Chameleon may be able to proc Harmony once, possibly twice, but I mean, proccing Harmony once, same could likely be said of almost anything. That is not a card I wanted to see. Okay, so we should go range row Radeya. Looking for Cursed Scroll, ideally we get it. So this can give us Renfri. So that's why this is so appealing to us. Otherwise, Crystal Skull, 4 points, and Veil is a backup plan, but this is definitely the best option for us. So we will not use it yet, because otherwise we'd get Renfri in her hand and we would not be able to use her. We'd just be passing her to our opponent, which we don't want to do. Okay, Chameleon, they not so surprisingly do go that route. It was definitely going to be a at least slightly better option for them. Now we could, actually don't really want a hand boost. This is a bit of a trap, because if we were to play this, we would boost up Malena and give a card they're about to play 2 additional points. So that's not great. It's 4 points if we play this. And it's our last card was worth 4 points as well, right? I already forget what it was. But what I'm wondering is, do we Curse Scroll on this turn, or do we Curse Scroll on our next turn? I think maybe we... oh, well, now it's... Probably don't have a lot of time to pick the Renfri card, so I think we're going Malena. Technically speaking, it probably was better to go Curse Scroll, get rid of Sirsa, play Renfri on this turn rather than next turn, but given the time constraint, and given how we likely would like to... oh, this actually is... This was going to be worth more than Malena, so yeah. Another reason why it would have been better to use Renfri on that turn and play this and then use leader ability to boost it up, but alas, it's going to go away to get Renfri. They have a big card here with the Late Guardian, so I am concerned. This might not be enough. See what we get with Renfri. Play a bronze unit from your hand. We do not have any. Spawn Stratagem. It's another Cursed Scroll, which with 0 cards in our hand is worth nothing. And then we could get the create a neutral stratagem in the range row, which might give us some points. Don't have a lot of units on the board, but many of them have more than their starting power, so I think that is technically the right option. Definitely don't want cooldown. I think it's this. And I have no idea if this is enough. Also, I forgot to use our starting leader ability, so we left some points on the table. Left 2 points on the table unspent for that reason, so we should have done that first. But not that it matters here. Fortunately, did not need those extra 2 points. Renfri was enough. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. Okay, so let's see. Unfortunately, no Saskia, no Renfri, no Radeya. So we definitely would like to make some changes here. See if we can find a way to get one of them. Let's put, you are, I believe, our only human, bronze human in our deck, so we should put you back to the deck. Okay, well, round 1 not looking great here, as we do not have any of our key cards. We can, of course, still try to get some movement synergies going, because we do have a few cards here with Cat Witcher, Dryad Matron. Do we have Dol Blathanna Sentry? We do not. Other good early cards would be the Antherion for the Harmony, which is without Saskia. Actually, not a bad idea to focus on that. This is, of course, boost-centric, whereas this is damage-centric. This is eventually 2 points per turn, whereas this is 1 point per turn unless we combine it with you, in which case it starts to be kind of like a 1.5 points per turn. So all that is to say, technically speaking, I think Antherion is actually the best first turn play here, followed by Cat Witcher, followed by Dryad Matron. Now the tricky thing is, we're trying to go the Harmony route. We don't really want to break Harmony by playing some Northern Realms cards here, because they cannot trigger Harmony. It needs to be Scoia'Tael. So, I mean, we're going to destroy the human Harmony without triggering that in all likelihood. May want to get rid of Doragary here. And, I mean, locking Anna Strenger is not a bad option. Kind of nice to get the carrier from Ronvid as well. But I think we prioritize this. You're a solid target for it. And just denying them the opportunity to lock us is, of course, also nice luxury to have. That is a very nice combo there, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and they boost her up, so she's going to eventually be able to boost on both sides of her, once they have the card on the other side of her. All the more reason for us to say, no thank you. We'll pass. We could give Harmony to Doragary, which is kind of funny. I mean, it actually is, technically speaking, the right choice to make, so that we get him boosted from whatever we play next. So we probably will go that route. And the good thing about them using Mahakam Defender is, although this is an engine for them, it was not the engine that we were planning on playing next, I don't think. You don't have Anna Strenger set up anymore, so, I mean, you can potentially get a Temerian Drummer next to it, which we'll probably want to play next time we have that hand. So we will definitely try to stop them from getting that boosting combo going. So let's now go... First do this. Then we'll go with the Cat Witcher, I think, and then hopefully we'll still have Dryad Matron next time we get this hand. Then at that point we've gotten pretty much all the engines we were hoping to get. This being the one potential exception, but we were not really planning on setting that up all that much. So, oh, they still have Nenica as well. Yeah, so, oh, 2 Temerian Drummers. Okay, so we are not going to be able to prevent them from putting something that can boost Trident Infantry next to it, whether it be a Temerian Drummer or a Nenica. Technically, Temerian Drummer early is better, and Nenica is, since you can use all those charges immediately, preferable for the end of the round. Ah, yeah, they steal Dryad Matron. It was likely they would go that route. Yeah. Okay. Oh, also, I mean, technically, I'd really like to get Ronvid, but I think we'll still go this route here and just get the guaranteed engine. Rather than take our chances on 1 point to carryover. Yeah, there's the Temerian Drummer we expected to see. So now, what would we find most valuable? Probably you. They did not have any special cards, did they? So I think Elven Seer is pretty much just a 4-point body. We do not have any way to give vitality. You have some damage, you have some damage. No special cards means you're just a 3-point body. So I think it's you. I think it is you. And also, if we're thinking about triggering Harmony, we've not yet played a Dwarf. Not yet played... Yeah, I guess we're prioritizing one of these. We'll go for you. Since you can deal damage without having to damage yourself. Or, well, it's only getting rid of your armor, whereas the other one damages itself beyond the armor. So now for this turn, on this hand, it's either Nenica for the boost to try to deny them an even more substantial Trident Infantry setup, or it's Ronvid for carryover. I think I'm leaning Nenica. I think I'm leaning Nenica. Do not accidentally play her in the range row. That would be, or melee row, that'd be bad. Now, technically speaking, if we wanted to, and I may want to, it could make sense to deliberately move either Temerian Drummer or Trident Infantry into the row down here where they're no longer next to each other, so they can no longer guarantee to get a boost every turn. That is pretty darn tempting, and I think is valuable enough to be worth doing. So let's... Which one is technically better to do? Let's do this. That means you, unless they play something over there, just don't have anything at all to boost. Then, just in case you happen to get damaged further, we'll give you a few more boosts, and sure, we'll throw some boosts out to you as well. Cat Witcher will hit you on this next one. Would love if we were down to Adrenaline 3 and we had the 2 damage, because then that would destroy you immediately. Oh, and for a second I thought the random damage from Dwarf Berserker hit you as well, and I was like, oh man. We just immediately denied them the opportunity to get that boost in. I was all for it. I mean, technically we could use another round of Guerilla Tactics, and that could have guaranteed that we could get rid of that Temerian Drummer, but don't want to rush to that too much, because especially since we've not yet seen any of our big cards here, might need to save some of those charges for round 2/3. Are they trying to set up their leader ability in its entirety? They are taking Ramvid. That was likely to be our next choice. It's a tiny bit of carryover. Obviously, we don't have soldiers in our starting deck. At least I'm pretty sure we don't. But presumably, when we get their hand, we'd be able to play some. So it was possible for us to get carryover. Now the thing is, the Pyrotechnician is technically worth the most points. This is functionally 6 in a vacuum. But because we have 2 Harmony engines on the board, that actually means Torque is 5 plus 2, so that's 7. We do not yet have an Elf, I don't believe, so that's 5. This would be 6. So technically speaking, means Torque is best for us. Pyrotechnician is 1 point worse. Pyrotechnician is the best card for them, but we already have a Dwarf, so it's not going to proc Harmony. I guess we'll still go this route, but you could make a case for going Pyrotechnician just to deny them the ability to play that card. So I'm curious to see if they break out all their leader ability charges and try to set up a big Lyrian Scytheman in their range row, because we've started to extend our lead a bit here. And at this point... Yeah, they take that. That's not surprising. They did have a Scytheman in their hand as well. Right now, with 3 boosted units in this row, that's worth +3, so that's 7. This is also 7, and they do now have damage, so this suddenly is riskier than it was before. This is their only source of damage. This, if we play it range row, is 5, and then the 3-point damage is technically 8. Technically speaking, this is best. So, especially if we put you here, that way, even if you do happen to get hit by this damage, we can still get you boosted up from the Temerian Drummer. So that just makes it a little bit of a safer option for us. And I'm surprised they did not try to put anything next to that Temerian Drummer in their melee row after we moved it. It seemed like, okay, they're going to try to at least get something there to continue to get some value, but it seems like they're pretty committed to loading up on this range row, presumably with the intention of setting up the Lyrian Scytheman either from their leader ability or from their hand, which they might be about to play, because if they don't use it now, we will be able to do so. All right, they do technically still have a little bit of damage if they use leader ability here. So yeah, they were trying to set it up with their leader ability, and then they go, okay, double Lyrian Scytheman. Big point slam. Series of point slams, really. But... is it possible for us to catch back up to them? That I am not entirely sure of. So we still don't have an elf. So this is actually going to trigger a couple of harmonies when we do this. It's worth a little more than would initially appear for that reason. Then we have 3 damage here, which we could use... That's not really a particularly significant way to use it. I mean, we could do 3 damage on you, and if you happen to hit that Dryad Matron and destroy it, I mean, this row is full, so it has already maximized its value. Yeah, basically there's no It's no great way to get additional value out of that, but yeah, so it's not quite as big a lead as it might seem here, because that's just 3 points for them. And we have the Redanian Knight, which is a decent point slam. Yes, they're getting 1 point per turn from this still, but if we go this route, let's see how this starts to add up here. Gets us to 60. We're going to get 1 extra point here, that's 61. 2 points of damage here is going to drop them down to 61 as well. So we're tied at the end of this turn, unless there's some other factor that I am forgetting, which I don't believe I am. So all that is to say, 1 leader ability charge wins us the round, I believe, and I think it is necessary for us to do that. And so for that reason, I believe we should. If my math is correct, yeah, we need 2 points exactly. We would have tied. Now, maybe that wasn't the end of the world if we tied round 1, but obviously it was feasible to win round 1, so let's go for it, right? Alright, so the problem with us not getting Saskia in round 1 is that now we've not gotten much in the way of thinning, and so we're going to see a lot of these bronze units that are not particularly valuable to us by themselves. Yeah, so it's looking like, for that reason, this is likely to be a bit of a throwaway round, in which, I mean, there's a chance we can still pull it off in round 2. But we're likely focusing a little bit more on round 3. This is 6 points directly, and then Harmony as well, so likely 7 points out of that play. The Saboteur is not bad either. Dark City Guard needs some time to get boosted up, so it's not amazing, but it is a soldier, so it does get that tiny bit of carryover from Ronvid. And... Well... Range row is 8. Range row is worth 8. Range row here is worth 6, right? Plus armor, but I don't think that's going to be a huge factor. So, forget if the Witcher Saboteur can still deal 1 damage if a unit is in a row by itself, because then they could take away the formation, and that would actually be worth more than going after this Elven Deadeye. Because I feel like initially that was not the way the card worked, but I thought that several months ago they changed, possibly a year ago, they changed it so that is now the case, but I do not recall. So I think that technically speaking is the best play if it does work that way. It does not, or at least they don't test that theory. So Oakcritters is definitely the weakest card we've seen in this round, unfortunately. Should go range row for the spawn. Well, yeah, because it's 4 points in range row. It's 3 points in melee row. So we do this. It does proc Harmony. We go damage. Theoretically, technically speaking, you hit this. And then if you think it's in range of us being able to catch them, we go Guerilla Tactics, deal 2 damage and get rid of this engine. Drops them down to a 6. If they go melee row or Radeya Royal Guard, that's worth, what, 5? If I remember correctly? Which is not enough. So I believe this does work. What is space power in Radeya Royal Guards? Yeah, it's 3. I'm thinking of it as, yeah. Should have gone melee row and gotten the Zeal, but either way, it was not going to be enough, so we'll take the win. So there's a look at a Scoia'Tael Saskia deck for the new Switcheroo seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. Let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.